Hello and welcome back to the Irresponsible Comic Book Podcast. My name is Evan, I'm the producer here, and I'm here with Dylan. He's our resident expert.
Hello.
And Wildcard William. We are here today to talk about Captain America, the First Avenger. This is our How Bad Was It series. So we're here to talk about how terrible Captain America is.
Yep,
It's
terrible
not
person.
clickbait. We're gonna have to say that every single episode to like start it out. It's not clickbait. I'm sorry. Like at least like the good episodes, like the beloved movies, like Infinity War or Endgame,
The
or
real good ones, yeah.
or like any of the top tier Marvel movies. We're gonna be like, how bad was it? Actually, no, it's great. Sorry, just don't hate us. But
Yeah, this is the name of our mini-series review about we talk about the Marvel movies pretty
yes.
much.
So
I don't know. It's pretty. All the movies have been pretty bad so far. So
They have been terrible.
With this one. This movie sucks. It's awful. And
No words.
here's why. I'm just kidding. It's not actually. So we're gonna. Oh, what a dysfunctional start to this episode. Anyways,
That's fine.
let's do a quick overview of Captain America: The First Avenger. I kind of took some notes just to remind myself, since it's, I've watched it like 3 or 4 times over the past month. Like, I guess over the last few months when we were like planning on doing this recording, and it just hasn't happened. So I keep going back to watch it to try and remember everything. This time I took notes to remember the order of everything a little bit. So we open up with Red Skull making his assault on Norway and looking for the Tesseract. He ultimately finds it in that little church or whatever it is where they're hiding it. It's what's the town called? Tonesburg. And then we get our first glimpse at Agent Schmidt.
Smith.
It's not. It's Schmidt. Schmidt is the bad guy in this movie. Schmidt is Red Skull, but I just wanted to do a play on words because Agent Smith and yeah. Anyways, so we get our first look at Schmidt and the Red Skull, and him being a crazy, power-hungry man, looking for the Tesseract, and he's just kind of ruthless. He's a dick, and it sets up like this whole opening sequence sets up like the Thor connection really well, who we've already seen his movie. It's come out, and they talk specifically about Odin being on Earth, and you get this first semblance of the multiverse coming together before Avengers. So we've already seen all these characters from different incarnations like kind of pop up throughout, but never have they connected directly outside of Nick Fury and Coulson. Those are the only connecting pieces in any of these movies so far, up until they directly reference Odin being on Earth. I mean, they've done little hints like that across, everything. Obviously, Howard Stark is one of those as well, him being Tony's father. Like, there's like little things, but this is the first one where like the characters seem like intertwined directly. So, like their destinies have been intertwined in a way. So then it cuts to Steve in the little like testing room where they're like waiting to get their results back for if they're allowed to join the army or not. And you see the doctor fail him, and like you wouldn't pass on your asthma alone. And then you see this huge list of all the issues he has and why he wouldn't. And he says, "I'm doing something better. I'm saving your life." So then cuts forward to the movies, and then he gets beat up in the alleyway. Then Bucky comes and saves him, says, "We're going to the fair.
We're gonna go dance with some ladies."
With some ladies. And then they go to the Stark Expo, which ties in that Howard connection as well with Stark. They are watching his like little floating car thing and saying, "In a few years, you won't even have to drive your car on the ground because it'll fly." And then it fails, but then Steve turns around.
Say a few years.
Yes, that's a good joke. That is a very good joke. Because he fails, but every good showman can kind of do that. They pull off something a little bit in the wrong way, and they just make a joke out of it and move on. It's didn't Elon Musk do something similar with the Cybertruck? This is like way off topic, but I'm pretty sure he they said that the windows were bulletproof or something like that.
Yeah,
The car couldn't be dented.
With like a rock.
Yeah, and he like hit it with a baseball bat or something like that, and it broke. And he's like, "Oh well, this is a prototype." So
yeah, correct.
maybe Elon Musk is actually Tony Stark's father, and that child that was born with a crazy name.
He could be our version of Howard Stark. You know, you never know.
Say that.
The man's building space stuff over there. The man's building us electric cars and everything like that.
I mean, airplane, whatever.
Yeah.
Analoxy, or whatever you pronounce
I don't know.
child's name.
I don't know. Maybe that's our version of Tony Stark in the real world.
Tony Stark.
Yeah. Anyways, so obviously
we support you.
Steve sees that there's a way to enroll as he looks around the fair a little bit more and goes to enroll. And Bucky tries to stop him, and they have a very deep conversation about how Steve can actually help in the war and why he doesn't need to be a guy on the front lines. And Steve tells him exactly why he wants to be there and why he feels like he needs to be there. And
people are laying down their lives. I have no right to not do
anything less. Yeah, no, that's the line. That is the line. Wow, you remembered that? I was struggling with it because I wanted to say it, but that's the line. He goes, there are men laying down their lives on the front lines right now. Why is it my right to do anything less than that, or something close to that? And all the while, the doctor Erskine is listening to that, watching his body posture and realizing that's the guy I want right there. He's the guy who's willing to give it all up.
Kill some Nazis.
And he goes to the back to do his screening, and instead of like a normal doctor coming in and doing a physical assessment, he comes in and gives him a mental assessment to see if he really is the guy for sure. And he approves him, sends him off to training camp, to boot camp, and that's when the real tests start.
Steve's answer is the real important thing. Is like,
true.
I don't really want to kill anybody, but I just don't like bullies.
I don't like bullies. I don't care where they're from. Yep.
Yeah.
That's a very good answer, and it's why Erskine chooses him more than anything. And
I would say it doesn't matter where you're from, you're a bully.
Yeah. And then he tells him where he's really from. Brooklyn. And so then he goes out to boot camp, and then that's where the real training starts, and it just like shows Erskine even more that like, yeah, this guy is the right guy. He pulls the flag down, and
he shows his smarts with pulling the flag down over like everybody's trying to do with Braun.
Yep. Climbing it all the way.
He shows his bravery with jumping on the dummy grenade.
Yep.
Like.
Yeah, he passes every single test, and it's funny because multiple times throughout the training and in the interview, he goes, "Is this a test?"
Mm-hmm.
And then, what's the general's name again? I always forget his name.
Well, the actor's name wasn't it Tommy Lee Jones?
Yes, Tommy Lee Jones.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Who's the general?
General something. I forgot his name. Fuck. Yeah, we suck.
Anyways, the general like scoffs at the idea all the time, and then he, even after jumping on the dummy grenade, he's like, "Well, I still don't understand why you're choosing him, because he just doesn't
Chester
see
Phillips.
it." Yep, Colonel Phillips or Captain Phillips.
Captain Phillips.
Yep.
It is Colonel Phillips.
Is it Colonel Phillips? Yeah, because I like remember
Captain
hearing
Phillips
Colonel all the time. Anyways, so he passes the test, and then that night Erskine talks to him a little bit more about why he chose him, because Steve is curious, and he asks, "Why me?" He gives him an explanation of why, and we get like this famous line about Cap is, "You're not a perfect soldier, but a good man."
Mm-hmm.
And that's why I chose you, because you're a good person. And that's
because
the heart of Captain
serum
America.
will magnify the good.
Yes.
Exactly.
And then he tells him a little bit about Schmidt and how he took the serum and forced him, and that he was already a bad person, and it just made him worse, which is why he chose Cap to be the reverse of that. And it's also why they're like set up as the perfect foil, because one of them is like in pursuit of like power and control and trying to rule the world, and the other guy is just trying to make things fair for the smaller guy and make sure that that doesn't happen. So that's why, I mean, it's a war perspective that like that's how America views themselves a little bit as well, if you want to look at it through that sort of lens. But also, like, that's just a good theme overall for who Captain America is and who Steve Rodgers is as a character. So, shortly after that, we get the test scene in the morning, the next morning, where he goes in with Peggy, and they talk about, in the cab, their dance that they, Steve hasn't found the right partner, and she sort of, like, lightens up to him, and, like, over the last few weeks of training, she's kind of, like, started to realize how good of a dude Steve is. And she isn't really caught in feelings at that point, but she kind of just starts to admire him a little bit in that scene. And then he goes down to test. He gets injected with the serum. One of my favorite things that I probably noticed in the past, but I like really noticed this time, is the 70%. As he's getting dialed up, it happens earlier in the film as well. When they're testing the Tesseract weapons and trying to build them, they're extracting the energy from the Tesseract, and Schmidt, it's at 70%. And he tells Zola, hey, you need to crank it up all the way. I'm not here to mess around and be safe with this. I'm here to make progress. And so they stop at 70 and saying, oh, it's a little bit unstable, and then they just crank it. And then they do the same sort of thing as Steve's getting injected. They crank it to 70% power, and Steve starts screaming, and he goes, no, keep going. And then they crank it all the way up to 100. He finishes it, and then the power cuts out to the city, and you're like, wow, they used a lot of energy on that. Which
I mean, I really think they spinal tapped it and took it to 11.
They could have.
Might have.
He got huge, man. He got huge. So
I mean, he may have had a spinal tap, though. You know?
Yeah, you never know. There's a chance.
And then like Haley Atwell, she hops down, and that's when she really catches feelings.
Yeah, that's when she starts to really.
I know everybody knows it by now, but like that was like an unplanned thing where she like reaches out to touch his pec.
Yeah.
Because it was literally the first time that she had seen him without a shirt on.
Yeah.
When they were doing that scene, and then so she's like, oh.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, that's pretty funny. I didn't realize that was a unscripted thing. The reach out.
Yeah, it was consciously doing it.
Oh God. She's horny. Send her to horny jail.
Oh God.
Oh man, that's great.
Can I send Captain Carter to jail? What's the matter with you?
Yes, you can. Why not? Anyways, so I'm trying to think what else.
Then the big chase scene happens.
Yes, that's right. That's where we were. So
because there was explosion.
Yep. The secret Hydra agent who was posing as a government official blows up the equipment in the room and tries to steal the serum. He steals the last vial that's left from the experiment and runs out. And then Haley Atwell's Carter chases him, and then he hops in the car and gets away. She shoots out a tire as well as the driver of the car, and so he has to switch, and then he starts driving head on at her in a cab and nearly kills her, but Steve crashes out of the building and grabs her and rolls away out of the road.
So the funny
to
thing
save her.
about that is if Steve was just like 3 seconds later, she would have taken the shot, killed the dude, and then if Steve would have jumped in and like jumped out of the way, the movie would essentially be over at that point.
Yeah. Well, not necessarily.
It wouldn't be over at that point, but like he wouldn't have had to like chase him down, and like that whole scene wouldn't have happened because she would have made the shot. Like she had it perfectly lined up and everything.
She would have hit the shot. Yeah, you're right. She would have hit the shot. The cab would have crashed. He would have still saved her, and then he doesn't have the chase down scene. He doesn't learn about Hydra. No one there knows that Hydra was behind any of it. and then he never gets recruited to go on tour as the singer. We're kind of jumping through the bigger pieces of this, which we don't really need to cover, but he never goes out on tour to be a singer. He never re-meets up with Atwell, never learns that the 107th is captured, never goes to rescue Bucky, never shuts down their facility, never meets Skull. None of that goes down. You're right. You're kind of right. And most likely, Schmidt becomes successful with the weapons, takes over all of Europe, blows up America.
Yep.
This could be a good what if series. What if this happened? What if this happened?
Wow.
What if he was successful? What if Schmidt got away?
That'd be crazy. Ultimately, you'd think that that scientific division, SHIELD, at that point, it's the early version of SHIELD, would have figured out ultimately what Hydra was doing down the road. Realized that.
Oh, there's not even that though. Like, there's even a chance that with Haley or Captain Carter taking the shot and killing the dude, that the vial doesn't get destroyed.
Serum is still there. We really need to do our own what if version of that, because that's really quite interesting.
There's a good chance that the car crash, the inevitable car crash, does break the serum still.
Yeah, but if it doesn't, which if it doesn't,
then Stark can recreate the serum.
Yeah,
and then the United States has their own set of super soldiers.
We should really do that for another video. Okay, so anyways, all those things that we just talked about that wouldn't happen, that progression, that's kind of what happens is they decide that Steve shouldn't be part of this because he's like an experiment and he's not good enough to take on Hydra by himself or the Germans in it all. They keep him behind, and they realistically would have just done a bunch of tests on him, which sadly we find out happens to Isaiah Bradley down the road when they do a super soldier serum, and that they lock him up and test him over and over to try and recreate it because it was successful with him, which was a lesser known secret about the US government throughout the MCU.
And at that time, it was much worse for his kind of people. In that time.
But that essentially would have been Steve if he had not chosen to go along with the other
I think
government
it was Ronald
official.
Reagan.
It wasn't the president. It was
no, the president wasn't Reagan at the time, but I think the character was Reagan.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, because it was just like a congressman. So maybe
I think it was I think it was Congress because I think it was Congressman Reagan.
Was Ronald Reagan that young back then?
I believe so. Yeah.
It's crazy to think that, because I guess he wasn't alive when I was alive, but
he was alive at the time.
When I guess he was alive for a couple of years, but he wasn't alive for when I was learning about him, when he was alive when I was 8 years old. I didn't know who the fuck Reagan was then, but it's weird to think that because he's not alive. I don't know.
Okay, so he kind of looked like Reagan to me.
History
but he
happens.
Was
Congressman.
It's not showing.
In Captain America.
Yeah, it's just showing up Congressman because that's kind of what I did. Captain America.
Yeah, just a little off topic. He passed away on June 5th, 2004.
Yep.
Runaway, yeah.
Yep.
So.
First Avenger, IMBD, to the rescue.
Yeah, anyways.
Back to the movie, please.
So they decide to send him out on tour as a sideshow attraction for selling bonds. So basically he goes out and he convinces people with his performances to help support the war cause and help take down Hitler. He goes and does a bunch of basically musical style plays with a bunch of lady rocket dancers. They're not actually the Rockettes, but same sort of format. And they go and do a bunch of dances, and ultimately that's his way to contribute to the war by selling bonds or helping sell them so that the war can continue and that we can ultimately win.
It was Senator Brandon. Brand.
That's right. So then ultimately he ends up out towards the front lines doing one of these same similar shows, and which doesn't really make sense why he's out there promoting it like to the soldiers that are already there. It's just probably supposed to raise morale. Like the government thought, hey, let's send him out there. It'll raise morale because it does really good things for wherever he goes for bond sales. The soldiers end up hating it and thinking it's stupid. And
I mean, they only wanted to see the ladies.
They just wanted to see the ladies. They're soldiers. There's nothing else for them to get out there.
They get chocolate and ladies.
Yep.
Exactly.
So, he gets booed off stage, meets up with Carter again, and she tells him about.
Well, he was doing his favorite pastime.
Yeah, he was drawing.
He was drawing like the circus monkey dressed up in the Captain America outfit.
Yeah.
Because that's what he thought he was.
That's how he feels inside, and she tells him that he should be more than that. He can be more. And then immediately as she's saying that, a car rolls up with a bunch of wounded soldiers, and she tells him that that's the rest of what they found of the 107th after being decimated, and that the rest are behind enemy line. Well, they find out ultimately later from the colonel that the rest of the soldiers are being held behind enemy lines at a factory or a facility. And, you know, Rogers obviously wants to go because he knows Bucky is in the 107th. And so he pushes really hard to get it. He says, no, you can't be out there. Don't you have to be somewhere in 30 minutes? And he goes, yeah. I do. And she knew Carter knew exactly what he meant by that. But, you know, Colonel did not know. Colonel Phillips had no idea what he meant by that. Thought he was just gonna just go do a show or whatever, and instead Stark flies them, you know, over to enemy territory and drops him off in front of the, not even necessarily super close to the facility, but he sneaks in surprisingly with a giant red, white, and blue shield on his back. That's the one thing that I think gets me about this movie, is that he creeps into this heavily fortified Hydra facility with a big old colorful shield on his back, and no one sees him.
No, you don't have to see him. Yeah.
I mean, still, he snaked his way in. He was any soldiers that had the exclamation point jump off the top of their head, he just instantly took them out. You know. So
I guess so. Anyway, so he infiltrates the facility, looks for the soldiers, finds them, lets them out, and he goes, is there any more? Because he's looking for Barnes first. He's going to let him out, but he's like, hey, do you guys know where Sergeant Barnes is? And they didn't know, but they knew that there was he asks if there's any other place soldiers would be. They say the isolation ward. He lets them free, tells them how to escape, where to go, and that he'll meet them there. And then he goes to the isolation ward.
Well, they ask, who are you? And he's like, I'm Captain America. I've punched out Hitler 47 times.
They're like, well, they ask, who are you? How do you know what you're doing? And he goes, I'm Captain America. Yeah, so fucking great scene there.
Punched out Hitler.
I've punched Hitler over 140 times or something like that. However many times. So then he goes to find the isolation ward, and on his way there, he sees a map full of different little facilities, and it's basically Schmidt's overarching plan to produce all these weapons and soldiers equipped with them for the Hydra army to take over the rest of the world, you know. And so he sees that, and then ultimately goes down the hall a little bit more, finds Bucky, helps him escape. I guess that's actually in the same room now that I think about it, right? It's like a map on the wall behind him as he's picking Bucky up.
He's like looking through a window at the map. So the map was like in another room, but he was like looking through the window into that room.
Yep.
And then he like later on, he's like, I only saw a quick look, and it's like exactly like everything that he needed. So like, it just shows off the serum's amazing ability for him to have perfect recall.
Yeah. Literally picture perfect memory. So. And then, so all the soldiers end up escaping and getting free and assaulting the rest of the Hydra soldiers that are there. And then while they're escaping, they're, I don't even necessarily think they knew where they were going to escape, but they end up on the top of the rafters, across the way from Schmidt and Zola. And Schmidt starts telling him about how they're the same, and that, you know, he makes some comments about how Erskine didn't do anything too special for him, and he's wondering why he chose him and stuff like that, at least getting into that sort of monologue sort of state. And then Cap punches him just straight up. He doesn't let him finish his monologue. Ooh. He punches him, and then he goes, "Oh," and you see like the red behind him, and it's like half of his face is like sunk off,
the skin is all messed up
because it's all a prosthetic face that he's made to hide his red skull. So he ends up ripping it off, that iconic scene of him just ripping his skin off in a way, to show his true identity. And just, it's kind of scary. It's like this, not like it's anything too scary in terms of like what we could see, but like it's like the scariest scene in the MCU up to that point, like where you're like, oh gosh, that guy's creepy. And so then, you know, the rest of the facility is blowing up, and Schmidt like retracts the railing or whatever in between them so that they can't cross and get out through the elevator, or at least the easy way. I'm sure there's like stairs or something out that way. I don't really know, but anyways,
there's no logic in this movie.
Yeah, there's like, it doesn't make sense like why they're up there to escape, or how they know that's the only way to escape at this point with things blowing up. But that's anyways.
Well, I think they were just going that way because other places were blocked off.
I guess so. Yeah.
So I think that was like the biggest thing, because it's like, well, let's just get as high as we can and try to find a way across then.
Yep.
So they were going up, and then got blocked by Schmidt.
Yep. So anyways, then you get the crazy scene where like Bucky walks across the like little railing that is left, like the little piece that it's like a scaffold that's like across the top, and he walks across it and it breaks, and then Steve bends the railing that's broken right there and jumps across into the fire, and then it cuts out into the next morning when they're marched all the way back to camp, and they get a huge celebration of their return, and Cap's supposed to get punished for doing what he was told not to by Colonel Phillips, and he goes, "I'm ready to submit myself for discipline." Reason. And
martial law and all that stuff. He goes,
"Nope, you're good." So, and then I think he tells him good luck or good work or something like that as well on top of it. Yeah. And then he finally, at that point, has earned the respect to like start working with the group and with SHIELD to take out the rest of these facilities that he's learned about on his trip to see Schmidt. So, from there, they just have like a montage of them taking out the rest of the facilities that are fortified and stopping Schmidt and Hydra, and then they have like a brief scene where Schmidt's upset at Zola and the rest of his army for not being able to slow down and stop Captain, and then he like shoots a guy because he goes, "Oh no, all our men are dead." And
evidently not.
He's like, "Evidently not. You're left," and then he's dead. So it just continues to show how ruthless he is. And then we cut to back to SHIELD and him getting his gear. I want to say, or I guess he gets his gear. That scene is all before he makes his assaults on all the facilities. But like, you get the scene where he.
No, I think it was after.
No, it's before they
made a bunch of it. They made a bunch of assaults, and then they had that scene.
But he doesn't. He has his shield before they start making it.
I guess that scene that you're talking about, the one where he gets his shield, is before the things before they make all of the stuff.
Yeah, I just skipped over that. Yeah, but he gets his shield, and there's the scene where Peggy Carter is upset because he kissed another girl, and she shoots at his shield, and she goes, "Yeah, I think it works." that whole scene happens, and then they assault all these, and then Red Skull kills the guy, and then they go back to them in the boardroom, and they go, they like start taking the pieces off, and then they have like a radio transmission that comes through, and they're on top of a mountain where they've heard that Zola is on this train that they're pursuing, and they're gonna try and capture him, and ultimately this is different from like I just want to bring in the What If series to this a little bit. In this, like, they went to go capture Zola, and they ended up capturing Zola with the Tesseract because of how aggressive Captain Carter was with this in comparison to Steve. So, in this scenario, Zola doesn't have the Tesseract. Schmidt doesn't trust him necessarily at this point enough because there's been so much that's going on that Schmidt's like, okay, I'm the only person I can trust, including Zola. Like, one scene in particular that, like, sort of seals the deal with that is the scene where Schmidt murders the other Nazis, and there's like the guys in the back that do Hail Hydra, and Zola's a bit hesitant to say it, but ultimately gets there because he has to preach his loyalty, otherwise he knows he's dead. So like he's like going along with the ride, but knows like, oh shit, this is kind of too much for me. And Schmidt at that point also knows, okay, I can't trust this guy with everything anymore. So they've kind of, even though they're still working towards the same sort of goal, and Zola's only doing it for his own safety, they've kind of split off a bit trajectory-wise. Yeah. Whereas, like,
they did.
Earlier in the film, they were neck and neck, like, with each other 100% of the way. And then you see, like, there's certain actions that you see where Zola kind of starts to distance himself purposely.
And there's second guess saying, okay, is this really the right thing to do?
Yeah. Especially, like, even the scene where Schmidt's getting himself painted, like that's a scene where Zola's kind of like freaked out a little bit, like that's some dictator sort of level stuff. So and he just kind of like slowly realizes, oh, this is not it for me.
Exactly.
So the reason why Zola doesn't have that Tesseract on the train with him is because Schmidt doesn't trust him, which is a clear distinction. Like obviously is like they built that up throughout the movie as well.
Correct.
So, and let's think, what else? So they assault the train, Bucky falls off the train. We get that heartbreaking
Never to be
scene.
seen again.
Never in the MCU ever again.
Poor Sebastian Stan.
Gosh, man.
One shot movie, dies in the middle of it. Doesn't get any chance to redeem himself.
Never again.
Ever.
Nope.
Yeah, he's not in the MCU anymore.
Nope, he's dead, man. He's cut off. That's it. They were like, yep, that's what happens. You die, and that's the end of your career.
Anyways, okay, so he falls off the train. They capture Zola. They do the interrogation scene, which is actually a really good scene. I didn't really realize that till this episode, or like this watch through of it. That like that interrogation scene is like super well done, where Colonel Phillips goes in and like interrogates him, and he kind of like obviously like. We can all kind of tell from how the movie is and how Zola's actions have been portrayed throughout that like evolution of him, even though it's like minimal stuff, like you can tell that like Zola cares more about his life than Schmidt's. Like he'd take himself over Schmidt any day, and
obviously
he gets called out on it. So then they use that information that Zola gives him about the last facility to make an assault on it. They just make that decision at that table again to send Cap. Well, Cap kind of makes the decision that he's going to surrender himself by attacking the facility head on and get captured. And then and
then the Howling Commandos will come in.
And that they're going to break in on his location to save him and then assault the facility from the inside. So that's what they end up deciding. It works flawlessly almost. Like nothing goes wrong except for the assault on the front end where people are getting taken out, but that's kind of what happens with war. So they ultimately make a full-on assault, and Cap starts chasing down Schmidt through the hallways and gets trapped by a big old flamethrower guy. And then ultimately Peggy comes in and shoots him and blows him up.
Shoots the tank.
She just blows his ass up and then tells Steve, don't you have somewhere to be? And then he runs through, grabs his shield, starts chasing down the plane that Schmidt gets onto to start bombing the world, which none of this is known about quite yet. They don't have a... Actually,
his giant B-52 bomber.
They kind of do know, but they don't know how. They just know because Zola said that his plan is to... I mean, they might
take
know...
out every major city in the...
Yeah. He says they... In that interrogation scene, he asks, so where's his target? Where's Schmidt's target?
Like,
and
everywhere.
then Zola says, everywhere. And then Colonel Phillips is just kind of confused and like, what? And then... I mean,
every
you can assume
major city on the eastern seaboard, including Chicago.
That's right.
Which is not on the eastern seaboard, but
it's kind of close.
Right, but still, like it's. I mean, it's not like
in the east.
You can't leave. You can't leave Chicago there if you're gonna. Come on, you got to take Chicago out.
I mean, sure, it's like northwestern and all that stuff, but if you're going east, if you're going to the East Coast, Chicago is kind of part of the East Coast.
Yeah, a little bit. So then, Cap chases down this plane to try and stop Schmidt, and he's just literally running it down, and then ultimately realizes he can't catch it. That's when they pull up in Schmidt's car and chase, which is funny that they knew there was like a booster on it when you think about it. Like they hit the booster towards the end to catch up with the plane. How did they know that's there? How do they know that's what that button does?
It's clearly running off of a rocket engine. Look how big it is.
Yeah. I guess. But so anyways, they hop in his car, chase him down. Peggy pulls Steve in for one last kiss before he jumps. Then he jumps.
Kiss.
Their first and only kiss. Yep. They don't share one.
But
ever again.
We missed the scene before it because she was really pissed off at him. But during the montage of them breaking in and like stopping all the Hydra stuff, they see Steve pull out his compass, and they have the picture of Peggy and the compass.
She was still mad about him.
And then she's like, "Oh, he loved me."
Yeah, she was mad that he kissed that other girl still, and after she had shot at him. Then they do this whole montage. He has a picture of her in his compass, so she realizes, oh, he actually really does care about me. Also, how did he get that picture of me? And Colonel Phillips even looks over and... Well, the internet was around back then, so it was easy to find pictures of people and print them out.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. That's what
See, that's
he probably just took it from her file and then cut it out and put it in his compass.
What a fucking wacko. Likely. Anyways, so...
Whoa.
I mean, here, folks, Captain America is a stalker?
Yeah? Question mark?
No, he's not.
America's hero and America's ass stalker? Question mark?
America's ass?
Is he a menace to society like Spider-Man?
Yes.
Does he, deserve to be in jail? Is he a predator? He does potentially his own granddaughter.
Yeah.
True. Question mark.
Wacko.
And he does potentially kiss his own granddaughter.
Yep.
Gross.
So...
All right. We need to move forward. Okay. So the end of this film ends with Steve hopping on the ship, or the plane, whatever you want to call it.
Killing all these
agents.
Throwing them through propellers.
Yeah. Just being a complete fucking monster. Beast mode. Pulled one out of Marshawn Falk's book. And
Marshawn Falk.
Really,
Marshawn Lynch.
My God, dude.
Sorry.
All right.
Wait. And it's Marshall Falk or Marshawn Lynch.
Okay, I don't know why. I'm just thinking of the Rams because they won this weekend. Okay, my bad.
I mean,
I know it was wrong as I said it too. I was like, wait a second, hold on.
But one of them's a Seahawk, and then a dirty Raider.
No. Well, I guess he did.
Was a Ram and a Colt.
Yeah. I guess he did play for the Raiders. Now that I think about it, it's weird to think about. Don't remind me. Okay. Anyways, so he pulls a Marshawn Lynch.
There you go.
Sorry, I had to pause for emphasis. Marshawn Lynch, and he jumps and he beats the crap out of these people, and he gets up to the cockpit of the plane and goes up to the chair to try and stop Red Skull, and then he hears an energy charge pop up behind him, turns around, blocks a shot from the Red Skull with his shield, and then they start fighting, and things get crazy, and it ends with
autopilot being destroyed.
Autopilot being fricked up. Well, it's the whole engine of the ship gets messed up because the plane was, when you think about it, the plane was running off of the Tesseract's energy, and it like it stored, but then like, at least I think that's what was happening. And then like it just had like enough juice to continue going on its route. But then like
the autopilot was engaged, and then it got destroyed, so he wasn't able to
it got like
de-engage autopilot. So that's why he had to forcibly put it into the water.
Yep. And there's a lot of people who think that this could have been like broken, and like it's just there for convenience sake, that like, oh, he gets frozen and comes back for Avengers. Realistically, I think we've talked about this maybe the last time that we covered this movie, but when he's in autopilot, he's like stuck there, and if he's gonna jump out of the plane at any point, he'd have to do it at a level that like he's away from the crash enough that the plane wouldn't crash into him or debris would hit him. So like there's no real safe way for him to evacuate and also still make sure the plane crashes, because he could like send the plane down and then like, oh, it's probably gonna crash, and then jump out, and then the plane corrects itself before it crashes, and then he goes, oh fuck, and the rest of the bombs drop and kill millions of Americans.
Whatever ones that were still alive. I think the DC bomb was still in it. Like the Chicago bomb was still in it. The New York bomb got jettisoned out.
I think most of them were still...
Miami bomb, I think, was still in it, but like a few of them like were actually piloted by
two in total that were dropped. The one there was a guy who was about to hop in, and then he dropped the bomb out, and he was like hanging and then fell out. And then the other one was the other bomb that had actually been dropped. Excuse me. The other bomb that actually had been dropped, and he jumped on top. There was a whole sequence where he had to fly it back and crash it. There's only two that weren't active. The rest were still good. So
correct.
A lot of millions of Americans would die. Like, realistically, you can't have that. So he chose to crash it all the way. He gets a last call from Peggy talking about how he still owes her a dance. Or that he wants to take her dancing. And so...
he wants to fondue her.
He wants to take her fonduing. So, yeah, he drives it down, crashes the plane, and... that's the end of the movie. Technically, the start of the movie actually isn't the assault on Tonsberg. The start of the movie was the crew investigating the crash in the... It was the Arctic up north, right? They're flying up north. So they crashed in the Arctic, and so there was a crew investigating it. That's the start of the movie, but you kind of go full circle
in Greenland area.
Yeah, somewhere around there. So then you can assume that he's been found. They see the shield in that opening scene, so like it's Cap, and that he's still there and frozen. I mean, I guess you can't really... The dialogue isn't that, like, oh, he's still alive, but they say that this one's waited long enough. They say, like, get the president on the line or whatever, and this one's waited long enough. It's like, this guy's been stuck in the ice for ages, and no one knew that he was here specifically. Like, he's been missing, but I'm sure that crew probably assumed that he was dead. What do you guys think?
Probably.
Like, realistically, that's...
So they gave him to S.H.I.E.L.D. to see if S.H.I.E.L.D. could, like, thaw him out and then, like, make more super serum, probably. And then S.H.I.E.L.D. is like, oh, no, this guy's still alive, a la Superman, with a really faint heartbeat.
Well...
So let's just, like...
I'm trying to think that they probably intercepted the... I mean, I'm sure that they have access.
No, I bet
freely.
like S.H.I.E.L.D. was the ones that like got there first.
Well,
it was like, S.H.I.E.L.D.
Yeah,
this
like before they could even like extract him. Yeah, they probably like intercepted the call from DC or wherever, and knew that, oh, that's there. And Fury in particular probably heard about that very quickly and was like, yeah, we're going. So, yeah.
Get a motherfucking plane over there and get a squad over there now, motherfuckers.
So better make sure that there's no goddamn snakes on that goddamn plane.
So let's talk about the post-credit scene. Oh, we also skipped kind of completely over the Stanley cameo earlier.
Yeah.
So in this How Bad Was It series, we rank the movie overall 1 to 5 on our scale. We rank the post-credit scenes, and we rank the Stanley cameos in all of these films. So we go from the S tier to like the F level on the post-credit and Stanley cameos, and we go 1 to 5, which is
on the movie.
Do we want to list the rankings?
Yeah, we can.
5 is an ultra film. Oh, I was gonna go. Damn.
1 is unwatchable.
Oh God!
1 is unwatchable. 2
watchable.
Is watchable. Yeah. 3 is a good film.
4
is great, you know.
And 5 is a
ultra.
Ultra film.
Ultra films. Get it? That's our name. Ha! Okay, sorry. Anyways, so we rank it 1 to 5. So the Stanley cameo, let's do the Stanley cameo, the post-credit scene, then our rank for the movie. The Stanley cameo was earlier in the film after Cap had made that first assault to save the members of the 107th. He's getting is it a Purple Heart?
Yeah, he's not a Purple Heart. It was a Medal of Honor.
Medal of Honor, yeah. So he's getting rewarded with a Medal of Honor for his actions, and so he's supposed to be there for the press conference for it, and he gets announced to come out, and he goes, I said Captain America, and he then some agent comes out or whatever and says, oh yeah, no, he's not here, and it cuts to the audience of the ceremony, and Stanley is there as a war vet who goes, I thought he'd be taller. So, we've ranked these before in a previous episode. We lost the footage; it got corrupted, but we rated it. Dylan, what was it?
A C.
A C. Okay, that seems about accurate. It wasn't
great. It wasn't bad.
Yeah, it's like a decent cameo, but it doesn't. What are our prior rankings? Like the one for Iron Man where he's Hugh Hefner.
Iron Man 1, it was an A+.
A+.
Yeah, because he was Hefner. He was Hefner.
Like that's classic. That's great.
Iron Man 2 was an S.
Yes, that is correct.
The Incredible Hulk 1, we gave it a D, and then Thor, we gave it a B+.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. This seems pretty consistent with the rest of those rankings. So just smack dab in the middle of the pack, sort of. I guess it's on a lower end for what we've done so far, but it'll probably be middle of the pack towards the end of end of this series. Then our post-credit scene is, sorry, I'm trying to remember it now.
This post-credit scene was basically the first trailer for Avengers.
That's right. This literally was a full-on trailer for the Avengers. Literally the first trailer that was dropped. They did the same sort of thing recently for Spider-Man No Way Home, where they released the trailer for Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness, and it was just the full-on first trailer. So they did this same sort of thing, and I, in a way, watching Spider-Man, really liked the Multiverse of Madness trailer at the end, but only because I'm very excited for that movie, less so that... And it also sort of functions in the same way for Avengers as this movie did, where they've built up some things, and there's supposed to be this crazy event that explains a lot of stuff and brings a lot of things together in the same way that Multiverse of Madness is doing, that Avengers is doing with these first 5 films. So
initially, when this post-credit scene came out, everybody was super hyped.
Yes.
And I think we would have all given it an S or even an A originally.
Yeah.
But now that we have seen everything and the Avengers is out and it's been 10 years, if not more, that the Avengers has been out.
Yeah.
We had given the post-credit scene now a D rating.
Yeah. It's hard to do that still. Whereas like I said previously, the Multiverse of Madness trailer being at the end of No Way Home, where we already had a bunch of crazy multiverse stuff just happen, to see that, oh my god, it's going to get 10 times crazier, like, escalates it so much more. And I'd give it an S tier right now. But by the time we review it 10 years down the road, if we do a How Bad Was It in 10 years,
it's probably not going to be
whatever.
Anything crazy. It's probably going to be like a D, maybe even an F.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So with time, like, a trailer just doesn't do it for you, because you've already seen the movie. Yeah. You already know what's going to happen.
But at that time, it was a big, like you guys said, it was a big surprise.
Yeah, it was. 100%.
Yeah, we understand. Yeah. So final rating for the post credit scene. F, D.
I think we're going to keep it at a D.
Okay.
Unless sense. You say otherwise.
Unless we go F.
No, that's fine. That's fine.
Okay, cool. And then we did individual ratings. I think mine's still the same as last time. I gave it a 4 as a good film. Okay. It's pretty dang good. So
I'm gonna keep mine, which was also a 4.
All right.
What good film?
Great films.
Great films. Great. I'm gonna give it a 1. Because he's a predator. He's a menace to society. He's horrible.
Oh my gosh.
Well, you heard it here, guys. That drops the rating like all the way down to a 2.5.
Yeah, come on.
There you go. I'm kidding. In all seriousness, though, I'll give it a 4 as well. Because obviously, Cap is at least one of my favorite Avengers. America first.
American first.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Great movie all around.
Pretty sure
that is America's ass.
That is America's ass. Correct. Yeah, so that's everything we kind of have for this episode. Another thing that I will be doing very soon that I kind of discovered while rewatching this multiple times is a theory that I've told them about. It involves Odin, the stones, and the Red Skull in particular. So if you'd like to see...
No, you didn't.
I did tell you about this. So anyways, I have a theory video that's going to be coming out pretty soon talking about all those, and interesting new way to kind of look at maybe how the stones ended up in the certain places they were at. So if you guys want to see that, that'll be coming out in the near-ish future. It'll be titled something along the lines of Odin had all the Infinity Stones. Something like that. So be on the lookout for that. It'll be pretty interesting to film, because I'm still not entirely done with how I want to piece it together. There's a couple other things I want to use to tie it in, but I'm very excited to drop it. So
same here.
But anyways, we're also going to be doing a Moon Knight trailer reaction very soon. We're going to be doing a How Bad Was It for Marvel's The Avengers. Pretty soon, I'll be caught up on The Mandalorian, so we'll be covering Boba Fett, the Book of Boba Fett, if I can catch up finally. As well as we'll cover The Witcher Season 2. And recently we've realized that we never did a good review or a full review of Shang-Chi. So we'll be doing that. And last but not least, the only other thing that I have planned is... on March 9th, which is a bit of ways out, but on March 9th, The Flash Season 8 starts, and I want to cover that, because I want to get back into the CW universe. I don't know if you guys will be doing it or want to watch that week to week, because it's kind of a hard watch.
We could do that.
But,
I don't got actual TV, so...
yeah, so...
Oh, God. Well, download the CW app. You can watch it the next day.
Yeah, but it's like hella ads. That's the only problem. There's like 50...
Not really.
It's like a 50-minute episode.
I watched it, there was like no ads when I watched it.
Oh,
there was like 1 or 2 ads, and then that's about it. There was like no multiplayer. No, I watched it on my phone. I didn't watch it on my computer at the time.
Dude, it's bad now. It's like in between every ad break, there's like, so it's a 50-minute episode, and then there's 4 to 5 ad breaks throughout like the different, like, you know how like a show progresses, there's like different scenes where like it's all in one spot.
Commercial breaks, right?
Commercial breaks in between scenes anyways. Like each one of those is a full-on like commercial break for 10 minutes of ads. Like I'm not even joking.
I get you.
Like it's even in the app, it's that bad.
That's
so
terrible.
I'm gonna be watching it on like my parents recorded already, so my mom watches it still.
I don't know if I'll be watching that. I'm also super far behind on The Flash.
Yeah, exactly. So if you guys don't want to do it,
the last
that's
thing
fine.
I watched was season 4, maybe season 5.
So you got like 4 seasons, if that.
I mean the Thinker. I think it was the Thinker.
Yeah.
I saw that one. Yeah. Thinker, Mirror Dimension,
and
his wife.
And his daughter was there.
Yeah.
And they had to do like the triple speedster run.
Yep.
And Barry like killed himself like 25 times.
Yeah. Yep. Anyways, yeah. So don't even.
That was the last thing I watched of The Flash.
Don't even worry about catching it up.
We'll figure something out.
Yeah.
So let's.
I'll be watching it for sure and doing reviews on that. We also are going to be branching out on more specific things that we want to cover or other theory videos. So we'll have more individual content from the 3 of us down the road. So lots of good stuff to look forward to. But until next time.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Sorry. Bye. I didn't know what to say. I actually just kind of froze. Anyways, bye.